but there will be a shift in energy. There will be a hold in a conversation. People talk, somebody shares something, and then they're done sharing. You answer back, maybe you ask questions, maybe you give input, and then the energy dynamic will shift. There's a hold, and it moves to a different person. And that person might be you, or you just might assume that spot in that moment. And then there is time and space for you to share, and that is so amazing and beautiful because you can actually be heard. You can actually be fully received in what you have to say. There's actually space for you. Welcome to the Sound of You podcast. This is a space where we have inspiring, thoughtful conversations about the voice, about healthy self-expression, and all things spirituality and personal growth. My name is Friederike. I am your host, and I am so excited that you're here. Let's get started. Hello, welcome back. Welcome back to The Sound of You. I'm Friederike, I'm your host. And first of all, I want to say thank you so much. This is a heartfelt thank you to everyone who listened to the first episode. Thank you for coming back and letting me drop into your ears once again. Oh my God, you guys, I have so much to say in this episode. I got some things for you on self-expression and what that actually is. And I'm also going to explain to you this whole idea of validation quickies, which is actually a term that I invented and it just flew to me one sunny night. So yeah, let's get started. Self-expression. What does self-expression mean to you, and what do you think of when you think of a person that's very expressive? You might notice that it's not the same thing. To be expressive, a person that is expressive, we usually think of someone with very vivid body language, very alive, big gestures, big facial expressions, maybe emotional. However, yes, that is self-expression. But self-expression happens all the time. Body language happens all the time. You cannot not express yourself. Self-expression, as the term says, requires self. So you can be a very expressive person, but you might not even be expressing your truest essence in that moment. That's the reason why I keep saying that for a healthy self-expression, and especially to work with the voice, you don't just work with the throat. The throat, and if we're talking energetically, the throat chakra, the fifth energy center, it's just a gateway. That's where you open the floodgates. And if you think about it, why is the color of the fifth chakra blue? Why? Think of the two big things that come to you that are blue. You're probably going to say water and the sky. And we know scientifically they're not blue. There are certain things that happen with the light and so on. Why they appear to our eye as blue, I get that. But let's just assume that's our association. So water, the sky, it's just wide. With the fifth chakra and self-expression, this is really about opening. It's opening up a space. However, if you are not truly connected to yourself, then what are you going to express? Who will you be? when you express. It's great to unblock the fifth chakra. However, if you want to speak from your heart, you better be connected to your heart. And that doesn't instantly happen when you just work with the fifth energy center, with the throat. You will then express yourself more, and the great thing is then you will probably learn to express also your wounding, your pain, uncomfortable things. They can finally come out of you. That's amazing. But also your wounding, also your pain, you need to be connected to. So you get what I'm saying? Self-expression has a lot to do in the first place with the first word, which is self. How connected am I to self? How attuned am I to things that go on in my body underneath the throat, underneath my fifth chakra? So then, as you unblock the throat, what's going to come out is your truth, your true essence. Now, I was saying earlier in the introduction, I was talking to you about validation quickies. And I love to share with you this concept. And this is how it relates to self-expression. If you go on social media, and let's be honest, social media is part of our everyday lives. There are very few people, you might be one of them, but you're listening to a podcast, so chances are you also use social media. What do you see? How much honest, pure self-expression do you see? First of all, we all know, I hope you are aware, I really do hope you are aware, you only see snippets of a person's life. No matter how truthful they are, they might be very truthful, they might be very purely self-expressed. You always only see snippets. Be very, very, very aware of that. Okay? Don't compare yourself to perfect lives that don't exist. There are no perfect lives. Or all lives are perfect. Let's put it that way. So what else do you see? You see so much stuff. Food pictures, vacation photos. I'm going to the theater photos. I'm going for a swim photos. I'm going skiing photos. I am having a drink photos. And what does that do? What does that do? First of all, you might be wondering, okay, what am I doing in this moment? So you're comparing, but this is not about comparison so much. Why are we doing this? Why is it so important to share with each other the stuff that we're eating? I get it. We want to maybe inspire one another. I have to say that I sometimes post my food because I really love it, and I almost only share food that I'm really proud of when I made a cake or, some really healthy and nice food. Why do we do it? If we're honest, we do it because we want validation. If you don't know what that means, it means somebody else telling us, oh my God, that looks so good. Somebody else liking our posts, our stories, our whatevers. Messaging us. Oh my God, how did you do that? Oh my God, where are you? So beautiful. And that validates our own experience. So we're having a great So what happens though? What happens if we're having a great experience that we could honestly enjoy in that moment, and we share it because we're like, it's such a great experience, and we're hoping for even more validation so we can feel even better about that experience, and then that validation doesn't come. Nobody's saying, oh my God, that looks so good. Oh my God, where are you? So beautiful. Oh my God, I can't believe you're doing this. Wow, you look so good. Wow, your relationship, I want that too. What if that's not coming? if you're honest, then that's going to take away from your experience in that moment. And what bullshit is that? And the problem is, in my opinion, that with this whole culture of liking stuff and posting stuff, we have gotten used to validation quickies. Because what is it really if somebody then likes your stuff? If somebody sends you a, oh, this is so cute message. Is this really deep, satisfying, long-lasting pleasure? Is that sustainable? It's not. Be honest, it's not. It's a quickie. It's a validation quickie. And we think we need it because we have forgotten, we have unlearned what it means to be truly in the moment with where we are and to just enjoy things as they are in that very moment and not instantly tell me if you're seeing something beautiful, and you are someone who is on social media, of course, right? If you're seeing something beautiful, are you thinking of taking a picture instantly and posting it, sharing it? And there's nothing wrong with sharing beautiful things, okay? I'm all for it. Share beauty, we need more. However, check your intention. Because the problem is, first of all, it's not long-lasting, not sustainable. It's really not very meaningful. And we forget how it is to be in that moment and to actually give that validation ourselves. You can trust your experience. You can trust that when you truly enjoy something, it's freaking worth enjoying. You don't need anybody else to tell you that it really is worth enjoying. No, you get to enjoy it. Forget about the other people. And even if you enjoy sitting on the couch doing nothing, it doesn't matter. Or if you enjoy a nice glass of wine or a smoothie or a yoga class or singing loudly in the car, you get to truly enjoy it and admit to yourself that you enjoy it and be in that moment and don't have other people validate it. It's unsatisfying. We all know that. We can have quickies, but do we get that real deep sense of pleasure? That real deep, satisfying, yummy pleasure that we still, live on 2-3 days later? That stuff doesn't come from quickies. Why do we keep going for it? Why do we keep going for that validation? Because it's not sustainable. It's not sustainable. And here's another thing that I'm concerned with when it comes to these quickies. It's all about how our phones are programmed. They're programming us. We learn that we get an instant reaction, sort of reactions, most of the time. Mind you, if we don't get one, but most of the time we have some sort of reaction. We get used to it. We get used to bloating out whatever we want to bloat out and receiving some sort of attention and feedback instantly. And that transfers to our social lives. We need our friends to respond instantly. We need our partners to respond instantly. We need people to understand us instantly and validate us instantly. And if that doesn't happen, you know what happens emotionally. And for me, this episode feels like a complete rant. But allow me to go on with it because I hope that it inspires you. And let's come to something now that I find very interesting. To me, it all comes back to trust. To trusting yourself, as I said, that a moment is worth enjoying, even if nobody is there to watch you. And even if you don't share it on social media, even if you have that moment all by yourself, it's worth it. And whatever you have to say is worth being received. Now, what I was saying, we all bloat things out, is coming back to the fifth chakra and the energy center. It's nice, we unblock it. We just post things, we share things, and it's out there, and we don't worry, is it really authentic? Is it really self? What is it? Now, let's assume we are connected really to our needs and desires. And I think that we are all meant to have our needs and desires fulfilled. That's why they're there. We're human. But trust in timing. Trust in timing. Trust that if you have something on your heart and mind, that there will be a space for you to communicate it, and it doesn't have to be instantly. Often also when we do that instant communication, there's a sense of urgency, of hectic, of distrust, that if I don't get it out right now, I will not be heard. I need that reaction now. I need to get it out of my system. And we don't trust. And I feel like you really can trust that you will be heard and received. And even better so, when there is that space, when your partner is actually in a space to listen to you, he or she will be much more ready and willing and capable of listening, of receiving, of giving you that full validation of your experience. Then if you talk to them, in between things, right away when you need to get it out, and then you get upset because they're not listening to you, there will be a space. If you are into reading, I recommend reading the book, The Celestine Prophecy, or Celestine Prophecy. I'm not sure how to pronounce it right. It is a spiritual book, and personally, I find the story a little bit lame, but the concepts that are shared in this book are great. And one of the things that I took away from this book is the energy dynamics and conversations. So according to what they say in this book is, when people come together, and I agree with that 100%, when people come together in a space, there is a reason for why they come together in that space. There is a reason, and that means that every person there has something valuable, something valid, something necessary to contribute, whatever that conversation is, whatever that meeting is. And that doesn't even have to mean that they need to say something, but just that their energy is important in that space, whatever the space is. Now let's come to conversations, okay? So that means when you are in a conversation, you can trust that there will be a perfect time for you to get your message across. You don't have to worry. You don't have to interrupt people. You don't have to be anxious. You don't have to hold on to your point until you can finally get it out. But there will be a shift in energy. There will be a hold in a conversation. People talk, somebody shares something, and then they're done sharing. You answer back, maybe you ask questions, maybe you give input, and then the energy dynamic will shift. There's a hold, and it moves to a different person. And that person might be you, or you just might assume that spot in that moment. And then there is time and space for you to share, and that is so amazing and beautiful because you can actually be heard. You can actually be fully received in what you have to say. There's actually space for you. Now, the thing is, not everybody might understand these dynamics and they might misinterpret it. And here's a personal anecdote. It happened to me once. I was actually at a retreat. I was working there as an assistant, and we were there together, I don't know, 4 or 5 women sitting around a table having a conversation. And I don't even remember what it was about, but somehow everyone was really anxious to get their point across, or so I felt. And all of a sudden everyone was talking more or less at the same time. And that's just not my thing. It's never been my thing. In that case, I'd rather stay quiet, because then it makes me anxious as well. And I think, oh my God, I have to get my point across. And it's just very unsatisfying. And pretty sure that if you engage in a conversation like that, what you get is validation quickies. A very short moment of attention, a very short moment of, now I was listened to. And the reason why you don't shut up and you keep engaging, because it's never satisfying, because there's never really space for you to share. So, in that situation, I didn't really engage. I waited until that wave of energy, of that wave of conversational pattern came to an end, calmed down, and I felt this shift, and then I spoke. And it was amazing, because I was being heard. I was being received, because I waited for there to be time and space for me to share. Now, what happened though was that one of the women came to me later and she said, you do this thing where you just take all the energy and all the attention. You just want all the attention and then you take it. And first of all, when you come together in a group, in a conversation, there's nothing wrong with desiring attention. You get to have attention. That's why you come together. So everyone is worth receiving attention. So there's nothing wrong with that. But what she was mistakenly assuming is that there was somehow that I took the energy from the people for them to listen to me, when what I did was just waiting for space. I wasn't engaging in that hectic, everyone interrupting the other mode. That was before. And I didn't understand that in that moment, because I thought, oh my God, she's right. Oh my God, I'm doing that. But that's really not what I was doing. You know this person? When maybe you are that person. You're in a room with people, you're in a conversation, people are engaging, it's loud. And there's one person stays rather quiet. And then all of a sudden, when it's quiet, they say something and everyone's like, oh, wow, where did this come from? Now this person, of course, we have different personality types and we engage in different ways, right? But this person waited for the energy to be ready for them. And that's a really satisfying experience. Now, what I don't mean, knowing about this is not an excuse to not communicate difficult things. There are some really difficult things in relationships that we all know. And for some things, there's just never a right moment, which means the moment is always right. Well, I do think there's some gray area in between. But some things will never feel good to communicate. They just won't. You can learn to become better at them, to be more comfortable, to be more trusting. That, for example, that you will be able to solve a conflict with the friend or with the partner or with the family member or with the colleague or whatever. But it will still feel shitty. Because we all have that little child within that's like, oh my God, if I share this unpleasant thing now, I will not be loved anymore. And that's where you have to love yourself, the self, enough to express, to self-express what is on your heart and mind, to not bury it, to not add a block or create another block within you. And this is where we come full circle. I'm kind of amazed. How did I do that? This is where we come full circle to self-expression, to it's not all about the throat, to being connected to self. And that's what I'm really committed to. There's so much more to self-expression than just the expression itself. It is being connected to you, to everything that is below the throat, and to a wisdom that is above the throat, for timing, for trust, which trust you find also in the heart. It all comes together. It's all in the self. Oh my goodness. Are you serious? I spoke for 26 minutes. Thank you. Thank you for receiving this. I know this was a little rant, but I hope that it wasn't just a rant but that it was a rant that was a little thoughtful, that inspired you to maybe reflect on your sharing, maybe inspires you to hopefully, I want you to fully enjoy your life, even if you don't take a picture. I actually think the best moments in life often are the moments where we forgot about our phone. And then we might think later, oh my God, why didn't we take any photos? But then we were in the moment. Then we were in complete trust. Then we were really alive. And that's all that matters. And with this, I wish you a wonderful day. Yes, my friends, I wish you a wonderful day. A wonderful day. Mwah! Let me know how this message landed anytime. I am really available for it all. I keep repeating it. Please express yourself. Have a wonderful week. Bye-bye. You just listened to the Sound of You podcast. And if you want to free your self-expression, be confident in who you are, and release old junk that really doesn't serve you anymore, get in touch with me and join the tribe. Bless this world with the sound of you.